Yeah. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Happy Sunday night. You are watching the part of the podcast episode that doesn't make it into the show because this is YouTube and I like to edit stuff. So we're going to be doing Podcast PD episode 134. If you are joining us and watching us live, let us know in the chat where you are coming to us from. A little ding backstage lets me know that, yes, the podcast Padre is here. We're going to slide him over there.
Better late than never, I guess, right?
We just went live, so it's all good.
That's what I'm saying.
All right. We're going to have a lot of fun tonight. Although I feel left out because A, I'm bald, and B, I don't have a beard.
Yeah, growing real quick. Jump in there.
Yeah. You know what? You know me. I could. By
That's
Tuesday,
it.
I'll have a beard and hair. All right.
And hair, I like it.
I like
And
that
hair,
one, right?
yeah. I mean, this is long now.
Ooh, big that
All
bad
right.
boy.
So we're going to be talking about AI for administrators because, well, let's put it this way. I've given up on becoming one, and I'm going to talk to two of them. So here we go. How you doing, AJ?
Doing great. Let's get the show moving. I know Adam's
right.
got people to put to bed and things to do, and there's only so much Allen Iverson we could talk about.
My people are in bed and better stay in bed.
All right, we got Stephanie checking in. We got a former student of mine at Rutgers checking in. What's up, Ibrahim? How are you? All right, here we go. All right. Coming up on episode 134 of Podcast PD, we are diving into artificial intelligence with administrators. Let's start the show. This is Podcast PD, the show that provides you with anytime, anywhere professional development. Our conversations and guests will provide you with the learning you might get in a faculty meeting or on a PD day. Except you're going to have more fun with AJ Bianco and me, Chris Nessie. Let's start the show. Good morning, good afternoon, happy Sunday evening, because that's when we're doing this. This is Podcast PD episode 134. My name is Chris Nessie, at Mr. Nessie on Twitter, and I am joined, as always, by the podcast paisano, AJ Bianco. What's up, buddy?
You can't say as always. I missed the last episode, and I'm late to this one.
And because of you, we had to reschedule this one to this week.
Hey, it worked. We got Adam.
That's true, which means we're going to elevate this whole show to a whole new level, because he's tall.
That's a good one.
That's right. Adam Schoenbart, Dr. Adam Schoenbart is joining us this evening. Adam is an old friend of ours, old friend of the podcast. I was reminiscing before you got here, AJ, about Shift Ed. Remember that?
I do.
R.I.P. Blab.
Shift
Lab.
Ed,
That was
Blab,
it.
That was it.
the Ed Justice League.
Yeah.
A lot of things we can reminisce on.
Yeah, we got taken out like Zack Snyder's Justice League anyway.
Hey now.
And the three of us can understand all of that. All right. Adam formally is the Associate Director of Technology and Communication for the Chappaqua Central School District in New York State. And we're going to talk about AI for administrators because Adam, like me as a teacher, loves artificial intelligence. And AJ, I don't know where AJ really stands on any of this. He's making that face of like, I don't know.
I don't. I'm torn, and I guess that's something we can talk about.
All right, Natalie Imbruglia.
Wow.
I'm pulling out all the stops. Adam, how are you? Welcome to Podcast PD.
I'm doing all right, guys. I'm excited. This will be fun. It's been a long time since I've done a podcast, and the last ones were probably with you both. So happy to be here.
It's like riding a bike. All right. So Adam, this whole topic, which we're not doing it on the fly because we've kind of been talking about it in our little Voxer chat. Give us your position. You're a former high school English teacher. You're now working as an administrator. You've, lived the life of a building vice principal, and now you are central office. So you're almost at the very top. Pretty soon it'll be Superintendent Schoenbart for sure. Give us your thoughts on artificial intelligence first in education. What's your point of view?
So I think, Chris, my point of view probably wouldn't be surprising to anyone who knows me, and probably wouldn't be much different than if we were to talk about most other technologies and emerging or disruptive technologies in schools. I think AI is incredibly powerful. I think it's disruptive, and that makes it a little bit scary. But I think that power that I've seen for things I think it could do around student learning. I don't know. It's not a tried and true, but opportunities that I think it could create for student access and learning and creation are really exciting to me. More than that, as an administrator, where I personally kind of really dug into it is writing and communication and editing and ideation and those kind of pieces. I just find it to be incredibly powerful. I also recognize that there's a ton of challenges around it, but I don't see it all that different as the challenges that we have always had and still have around cell phones, around internet, around when I first rolled my Chromebooks into my classroom and all of those. It's the same but different. And I get that difference, but I think for me, I'm excited. I'm cautiously optimistic, but I'm really committed to exploring both myself with my teachers and in schools and in conversations like this.
What was the first AI tool that came into your purview?
Oh man, I think I want to say it was definitely ChatGPT, and that was the first one like that has sparked my entry into this kind of conversation and this work. Just about I don't know, close to a year ago, right? But I also feel like AI is everywhere. And so I don't know that I'm going to be able to name the tool that came before ChatGPT that I was using, but I do think the when we're looking at generative artificial intelligence, we're in kind of a new category here, but the understanding that AI is in the websites we visit, when I go buy something on Amazon, when I check my email, whatever I'm doing, and we come up with more concrete examples down the line. But I think it's been around for a while, but these new kind of generative conversations that we're having, for me, I think ChatGPT was the first, like for
And
many of us, I think.
no, absolutely. So like these large language models that are kind of creating this content as you go. What did you think? Again, I'm probably asking you to think back about a year when you got into ChatGPT and you started to play with prompts. What were you thinking? Do you remember?
Oh, yeah, I remember exactly. I was thinking, "Wow, this is crazy." Because I can tell you exactly what I was doing. I was working with my staff development team, and we were planning around thinking about artificial intelligence and machine learning. We actually hosted a superintendent's conference day, I want to say last March, and for the whole district, and it was focused on AI. So we had kind of found our entry point as a team in the months before that and started playing with it. Everything from feeding it writing prompts and comparing it to the writing we or our students are doing, or idea generation for lesson plans, or even I'll tell you, as I was exploring it, I was planning to hang out with two of my friends who you both know, and they both live in Jersey. And I was like, man, we got to meet somewhere in the middle. Where should we meet? And I asked ChatGPT. I said, we want to meet somewhere around the Tappan Zee Bridge, and we want to do an activity, maybe bowling, maybe this. Give me 5 places we can meet, and it did. And they were specific and they're accurate, and it blew my mind. And that was, I think, my one of my first non-educational uses.
Got it. Got it.
So Adam, I'm kind of curious. You jumped in there with the idea of PD, right? So I guess first and foremost, like when this is rolling out about a year ago, and you introduced PD, what was your staff's reaction?
So I think largely I'd say open, excited, nervous, but I'd say I'm lucky to be in a district with a culture of innovation where the emerging technology is really valued, and there's really, I think, both a stated and unstated expectation at times of we're going to try new things. And so we planned a conference day for every faculty member was involved in this, and we differentiated self-selected levels at we called it beginner, practitioner, and maestro level. We give them fancy names, and really tried to create a lot of entry points for our staff. And I think I won't say every staff member left being like, wow, I'm going to use this tomorrow, but it was really interesting, exciting, engaged conversations.
I got to imagine that that's got to be important. I mean, to work in a place that has that forward thinking mentality with whatever might be, coming down the pike. Certainly, we're all in tune with what's going on in education, and, a lot of districts, we're ready to, drop the band hammer and, block and, just lead through fear of, oh, the kids are going to cheat and, write their essays. And, I always had it in my head, kids have been cheating since the dawn of education. They're going to find ways to circumvent whatever things we put in place.
Yep.
But I'm sure that in these, you called them like conference days, right? Were there, you said that there are teachers who probably left thinking like unsure or not as excited as you might have hoped, or maybe, you yourself were. But what about other administrators, right? I'm not saying, drop names or anything, but what was the feeling amongst your direct peers in central office, higher than teachers on the scale, I guess?
So again, I think I'm sort of speaking from I don't want to say unique perspective, but a specific perspective where in my role as a district administrator, I serve on our staff development team, working with 3 other administrators and 7 staff developers who work district wide, and we really shape the learning at conference days along with the other administrators. And there's a real expectation of total participation there. So what we did for these sessions, our team designed kind of the lesson templates that were then taught and facilitated by all of us, by a number of teacher leaders, but also by every administrator. So every building and district administrator participated or led these sessions with us. So and I don't think at any point we said, oh, you've got to go in excited and tell everyone this is going to be great and you're going to use it tomorrow. The people who, you have administrators who are using technology in really innovative ways, and you have some that aren't, just like in any other district. But what I appreciate is that everyone went into the conversation really having kind of done a little bit of homework, played with the tools. And I think for administrators, we just looked at some of the really easy entry points of like, you're writing that email that you've got to proof 5 times and you're not sure where to get started, and look how easy it is to get those ideas. And really a lot of it for us focused on idea generation and on enhancing thinking, that how do we support the work we're already doing rather than replacing it. And that went a long way.
So to me, that sounds like AI has served more like a virtual assistant, rather than some other version where it's a tool. It's something to help you. How did you work with the skeptical administrator who maybe either A, didn't understand and was like, nope, not for me, or maybe I'm too far into the game. I'm an old dog. I don't want to learn new tricks. How do you work with that type of person?
So in terms of leading the professional learning, what we'll often do is pair our facilitators. So I think it's important that all of our administrators and leaders step into this work, but at the same time, you meet someone where they are, just like in any other good teaching, just like in our classrooms, right? Whether that's in terms of leadership or in terms of teachers working with students, right? So the idea that you could have that administrator in the classroom who may not be as interested or as skilled in technology, working with a teacher who's really excited about it, and getting that pair together, I think goes a long way, because you want to make sure your leaders are leaning in, but also how do you help kind of pull them along is one of the things I think about sometimes. I'll also say again, specific perspective. I personally didn't deal with any administrators who were questioning this work. I think we all get into the conversations questioning the like, oh man, how are we going to support students with this? How are we going to set expectations? The conversations around academic integrity and plagiarism and all that those are all very real. But at no point do I recall ever being in a situation of someone like, this is a bad idea, this isn't going to work, right? And that's just, again, the environment that I'm lucky enough to be a part of and having to help facilitate with our team.
Did any of the administrators not understand what this was and actually how powerful it is? Because I've seen a lot of people who just like, they hear AI and they're like, oh yeah, so just computers, right? But they don't realize what is really behind it and what it does.
Oh yeah, I think. I think a number, not just. I won't even say administrative. I would say most of the people who hear about GPT probably still don't understand what it really is, right? And how it really works. And
A
I
lot
think
of people still can't even say it, but
right, yeah, right. We had a lot of conversations throughout the district, and then our own professional practice around the understanding of this as a tool, as an algorithm, and really conversations with anyone from counselors to administrators to teachers. One of the concerns I'll say that we've talked quite a bit about is that ChatGPT is not your friend, and it can act like your friend sometimes and make it feel like you're talking to a person. But that idea that for a student that can be confusing sometimes, and even for someone like it feels like you're talking to a chat bot and a human at the end of that. Like when I go to my insurance website and I'm following up on a claim and they're coming back to me, and then like you're not sure, is there really a person behind there, right? Sometimes there is, sometimes there isn't. That gets more complicated when we're talking about something like ChatGPT, where it's just open-ended. I'm not there looking at one specific purpose, getting answers only on one specific thing that's really concrete. And I think those are the conversations I've had with everyone in all around the organization, and thinking about those kind of concerns and trying to really understand what is happening here. In that same conference day, we did those introduction sessions, then we led choice sessions. And so what I ran one on, we're a big initiative in our district, like many, is around diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I ran a session on, we called it Algorithms of Inequity, and focused on the algorithms behind AI bias, and things like that. So we had lots of opportunities to really try to understand the basics of the language behind AI, the how it's developed, but also some of the implications there. Another thing we did is offered a large language model in service course for teachers that was taught by two of my colleagues for the people who really wanted to dive in more and really try to build capacity and understanding.
First, do you guys find, and maybe Adam, you'll agree, I don't know, do you find yourself being polite to ChatGPT, like saying please and thank you?
Well,
And, would you be like, could you, would you?
so I'll tell you, I've read, I don't know, I'm not gonna say I've read research, but I've read like recommendations that you get better results when you tell ChatGPT that what it's doing is important. I just did it today. I said it's really important that the users reading this material feel like it is that it is thoughtful, it is thorough, and it is transparent, right? And thinking about like how the large language models respond based on that, whether that's real or not, I can't say with certainty just yet, but I did it today.
It can't hurt, right? So when they rise up, they're at least kind
Right.
to you because
Yeah,
they're like, I
that's
remember
it.
you. You were nice.
Mm-hmm.
What were you going to say, AJ?
No, you had 2 points. What was the second thing you were going to say? I'm very curious. Or maybe you didn't have a second point, so maybe not.
Nope, I lost.
It's all good. It's all good. I'm going to shift the conversation a little bit because I'm very curious. So with the PD that you did now, with the experience that your teachers are going to have with all this, what expectations did you put in place as requirements, or as just, hey, this is what you should be doing as part of your learning?
I know what you want to say. What did you mandate?
No, I don't like that word.
I'll tell you, it's really interesting where we start. I'll tell you, after this work, we started to talk about developing a district kind of guideline statement around AI. We worked with, I led some work with department chairs on this, and it just never quite got to where we wanted to be in terms of a product that we were happy to say, this represents our district's vision, right? So we iterated around that, continue to provide tips and resources and guidelines, incorporate it in our professional learning and conference days and courses, and things like that. But truly, we didn't mandate anything. I think we set the expectation, like we do in our district, that we are open to innovative ideas and tools. And I think through these conversations with our building and district leaders, I would say some of the kind of global expectations we talked about were like, we're not banning AI. We want to think about AI as a where it's developmentally appropriate. We want to have these conversations with it. And one of my big concerns that we also, I think, in pockets talked about is we're also not going to weaponize it. We're not looking at AI detection. We're not looking at anything like that, because we know it's biased. We know it's ineffective. We know it doesn't work. And that was really a concern of mine, that that people might not understand that and come back and say, oh, I ran it through a detector, it's AI, this student's failing, and things of that nature. So that's a conversation I've had a lot I've talked about quite a bit around academic integrity in AI, not in terms of setting a policy and expectation, but really about thinking about our mindset to those conversations and entry points with staff and students. Even at this point, though, a year later, we have not formally set, like, here is our policy. We're a district that has a lot of technology and continues to invest in the technology we think is valuable with kids, and give teachers freedom to make choices in their classroom. And I think that really is the same for AI. I think what I'll also say is I've had just as many conversations with administrators, with my technology team, around making sure we're doing so safely and thoughtfully, both in terms of finding the tools that we think are the most effective, the most appropriate for educational use, think about data privacy and everything around those conversations. And Chris, did I consider having AI write that perfectly? Not only did I consider it, I tried it about 10 different ways, and it has never landed. I'll say one of the things that for me has not worked as well until recently was asking ChatGPT or other AI tools to write statements or press releases, or I'm a director of communications, right? The wholesale, go write this for me. Just the results didn't land with me as well as giving it more information to synthesize and respond to was kind of the practice that I found to be a little more effective. But I would definitely give that another shot soon.
Nice.
Yeah. So Adam, I think, our districts sound very similar. I mean, we are in love with technology. We want to make sure it's appropriate use. We're pushing the AI for our staff and for our students. We want it to be around. I know a lot of the central administrators are pushing AI and doing different presentations throughout Bergen County, throughout, even at the state level, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I know they have some presentations coming up. They're embracing AI and they're very proud of the work they're doing, behind the scenes. I'm going to say it like that because central office is one part, and then it brings it down to the schools, but I really think that a lot of the staff, my staff specifically, and I'm not saying this to knock my staff in any way, but I don't feel like middle level educators understand AI. I feel like they have fear of AI because they hear it from the upper level, because there's more papers to be written, there's more things that the high school kids can do on their own, that they're exploring and learning about AI in a variety of different ways. So when I think about the staff, there's a huge split, right? Our opening day PD, we had somebody from a company come in. I don't want to say their name because I don't remember what it was. It didn't land with me, but like, it was to help the staff to better understand how to use AI as part of your lesson planning, as part of your assessing, so all that. We had AI recently at a different PD day. The same company came in, started talking to staff. We had people present how they're using AI in the classroom. So I think our staff is extremely split, at both middle school and high school, as to what we can do with AI. So I guess what I'm going to ask you is, for me as an assistant principal and working with my principal, how do I support my staff and even push them to explore some ideas of AI in their, not in the classroom, because I know that's a big jump, but even in their daily planning and assessment, making it easier for them?
So it's funny. My initial thought is like, I don't think I would say anything different in this response than any other. If you were like, man, I want them to use some new, we bought Pear Deck, we want to try that. Like, it's a different conversation. This is more the exponential possibility with AI is different than any individual tech tool, right? But for me, also like my initial response is like, if as a school your teachers are not ready to do this, I don't think they need to do this. That I like that if schools that set an expectation of like, we're all going to use AI to do XYZ, I think are going to get themselves in trouble here, because I think you're moving. This is still uncharted territory, right? I'm sitting here as like, oh, I use this a lot. I'm not an expert. There are even experts who say they're experts. Like, it's hard to be an expert in this world more than any other technology. Than I think when our life, our friendship together as educators using technology, right? This is different. It is. And so I think about the same ways we find success in the classroom with anything new, whether that's a tech tool or whether that's an instructional strategy. Find your entry points, find your easy wins, because whether or not your teacher is using AI to plan tomorrow, if they're a good teacher, is not going to change, is not going to dramatically change their practice. The teachers who, if someone's a great teacher right now, AI might not make them a better teacher tomorrow. It might not, right? It's not fixing what I'm getting at is, I don't know that it would be fixing a problem, right? There's sometimes we need to do something in education. We need this tool because there's a problem. We need to change this tomorrow, right? I don't know that that's what I'm hearing. So with that said, what I would really think about are, who are your innovators, who are your early adopters, and where are your pockets of innovation or pockets of need? Where can you solve a problem? I think it's the same with any, when we get someone on, like, I think back to when I was shifting people over from Microsoft Office to Google Docs, and I was thinking about the opportunity for student collaboration and things like that. But my entry point for a teacher was, hey, how many times do you go home and email yourself your file because you don't want to lose it and you forget your flash drive, right? Wow, we just solved that problem. And then they go, oh, wait, if I do that, can I do XYZ, right?
Yeah, but here's what that does. That and all these different examples we could come up with, I think it comes down to convenience, right? And the point I made earlier about, something like ChatGPT being like a virtual assistant, right? So I think the benefit, the biggest benefit, and the problem that it solves, Adam, is AI in this scope, these large language, the generative text, it provides teachers, it provides administrators with a convenience. The problem it solves is, I think, a lot of burnout, right? I don't have time to do this. I don't have time to do that. And this can help alleviate some of those time constraints that an educator might feel. I've talked about it a little bit here, and also on House of Ed Tech, the time saving function of being able to help design questions or come up with research questions or create supplemental resources that I can provide to students. Or when I'm asked, hey, we want to do something with our Lexile levels. Let's look at the data. All right, let me take all the stuff in the spreadsheet. Let me throw it into Claude. Let's see what it kind of thinks about the data. Yeah, we're still going to go in there, but get us some bullet points. Let's lean on the time saving aspect of all of this, right?
So I couldn't agree with you more. Let me reframe to AJ's original question. Well, I think the difference in what I'm saying is, I don't think you're going to get there systematically, and I don't think you're going to get there top down, right? Find the pockets, take exactly what Chris just described, and find the ways to the entry points with the teachers who are going to be open to that, or the department chair. I think about, like, that department chair who's working with their teachers on, like, their teachers are really stressed out about XYZ, right? What's the problem? You can help them solve there. Find those individual, more specific problems rather than the global, like, I'm going to save all teachers time. I would try to approach it at a more specific need, content based or whatever based need for those people. If you're not in a place where the culture is ready for everyone to be like, wow, then jump on because of that excitement and because of that concept of time saving as a whole.
Let's take what you just said. Here's what I would do with AI with that. Let's say I'm a department chair supervisor, social studies. I'll go with what I know. Hey, department, fill out this anonymous form. Tell me your 3 biggest pain points right now in your job, completely anonymous. I'm going to get that feedback, hopefully. And here's what I would do. I would take everything I get back, throw it into ChatGPT. Here are the pain points I just got from my social studies teachers in my department. Give me 5 action items I could take to alleviate their pain points and what's stressing, whatever, right? That's how I'm going to use it to maybe save time or come up with something actionable, right? I don't know. What do you think?
That's great. I like that. So I'll say survey results and synthesizing survey results. That's something I've had great success with in GPT also. So I think it's a great way of approaching it, and you'll get really good, easy results.
And also the fact that, again, the whole saving time thing, and we've got a lot of people kind of chiming in on that in the chat, whether they're watching on LinkedIn or we got some YouTube comments coming in. It's going to help you, right? It's going to help. And one of the best things I heard probably a few months ago was, if you don't know how to use AI, ask AI for help. ChatGPT, can you ask it questions? Can you help me do this? And it's going to say yes. And another thing I've done, I'll say, before you give me your output, ask me any questions you need or feel you need to ask to give me the best results. And then that's using it as a chat bot, where you give it more information, and the more you can give it, the better you're going to get.
I like it. There's a lot of good resources around there on that kind of prompting mechanisms and all of that. I want to take it in a different direction also. So we started with saying we're not going to think about instructional here in this question, but I also think I'll say again, this is more of a Chris angle, because and me and AJ out of the classroom, and me kind of far out of the classroom now. I have not had the chance to practice with some of these other AI tools for instruction on a day-to-day basis and with kids in the way I'd like to. And that's one of my next steps with a group of teachers, that we're going to pilot a couple of them and really explore, do a more of a deep dive. But you get tools like anything from CuraPod to Magic School AI, and these tools that with a couple of clicks, you could get some really great standards-based lesson ideas and assessments and all of that. Those have been really, really impressive to me. And I think I've had teachers who are like, wow, oh my God, that's what for some teachers has really flipped the switch and be like, this is something I couldn't conceive of before and is going to help me, right? And I think, so I'll say with the caveat of, I'm not a fan of let's just throw all the AI tools on the wall with kids. Right. This is something we've got to be more thoughtful about, I think. And you're going to have your own district and privacy policies and all that to contend with. But I do think there's some great value there.
I think you're on the right track there, Adam, because I think in the last year, we've seen a lot of tools come out that are going to make your teaching life easier, right? A lot of that generative AI going to do a lot of stuff for you. And I'm starting to see this shift, which should have been there from the beginning. How can we get not just teach students with it, but how and what AI is appropriate for students to use, right? Rather than them running and having the chatbot do the work for them, how can the AI assist them? Because, I don't care what industry you work in. And again, this is something I've said before. AI is not going to take your job, but the person who can use AI will. Teachers, administrators, pick the industry, you've got to be able to start to use AI, right? 10 years ago, it was, we got to prepare kids for jobs that don't exist yet, right? All right, here's the new job, prompt engineer, right? Also want to shout out Amanda Fox is watching on LinkedIn. She's going to add something about the pressure points to some surveys that she's going to be doing for some trainings. And Dr. Tanya Farron, hope I said that right. I had a 50-50 shot. She apparently has some great AI tool that she would love to share with all of us. Drop it in the chat. We'll be happy to talk about it.
Amanda, I've used some of your work in my trainings with teachers. So hey, thanks for everything you've been providing to the conversation on the online, the Facebook group, everything. It's been really good stuff. So AI for kids, right? I would say for me, I would that's my biggest area of hesitation, because in my role currently, I am one of the people responsible for data privacy, and New York State has some really clear rules around this. So my first thought is always around personally identifiable information, student names, and all that kind of stuff, right? But I will say that what I've been really enjoying, and is an easy recommendation, is Canva rolled out all these great AI tools lately. And so that's one that we were using Canva. Lots of schools are using Canva. So whenever I have teachers often saying oh, what do I use for text to image creation? That's a big one I'm getting a lot of questions at. And it's so easy for me to be like, you're already using it. Canva, let's get on Canva. And so for anyone listening, looking for those entry points with kids, that's a great one. I'd also throw out there, Codebreaker has a chatbot tool that I can't remember the name of, but I'm going to Google it. And it doesn't require a login. So I think about ChatGPT, you need a login, you need a phone number, right? It's the privacy policy says you're over 13 with parent permission. In New York State, without a data privacy agreement, that just wouldn't fly because we need the school agreement on it. But a tool that doesn't make you log in, collect any personal identifiable information, right? That's a really powerful thing for with an education.
I'm going to include something in the show notes, which will be at podcastpd.com/134 when this becomes a podcast, or maybe you're listening to it as the podcast right now. Dr. Farron shared something called Ruby.ai, rubi.ai, and there will be a link to a short video she shared in the show notes and also to Ruby AI itself. I'm not looking at it right now, but it is something I will check out.
And Amanda just posted in, it's Byte is the codebreaker tool. That's what I was thinking of. Thank you.
Oh, here's something we haven't had in a while. We got people chatting. I'm reading. Hey, what the message here is for you who's listening, if you're listening to the podcast, be in touch with us so you know when you can come out live. We do this the last Sunday of the month when AJ is available. Here we are on the first Sunday of the month. But I believe we'll be back. Nope, sorry, we're not doing New Year's Eve in December. We're also not doing Christmas Eve. So this is probably going to be our last episode for 2023, which means we'll probably be back. AJ and I got to have a team meeting. Maybe we'll figure out when we're going to come back in January, but we'll be back in January.
We can do one more to end the year. Let's be honest. We can find time to do one more.
You available next week?
I don't know. There's
you available
sports.
the week after?
That's
I don't know. There's sports. I'm waiting to get this. I'm waiting. I need the schedule. I don't have the kids' schedule yet for sports. Okay. We have baseball, we have soccer, we have basketball between two kids. So every night is booked. So anyway, back to AI.
Yeah. Actually, real quick, before we finish up this conversation, and, Adam has been gracious with his time here on a Sunday night, AJ and I want to tell you really quick about our executive producer opportunity. So if you get value from our conversations on Podcast PD and you want to support our efforts, you can do that. If you go to podcastpd.com/executive producer, you can support Podcast PD. AJ, tell them what they've won.
What do they win? I don't have the show. I don't have the show notes open. What do they win? I forget now. It's been so long. What do they win? They win us.
You get
to be part of the show.
Sticker,
T-shirt, sticker, all this cool stuff.
The T-shirt, the sticker, it's all there. Go to podcastpd.com.
Don't you have the mug too? Is there a mug involved?
We got
or something
a mug.
Like that?
Yes.
Yeah, there it is. See?
A mug with our cartoon mugs.
Hey, cartoon over here.
We want to give a big shout out to our current executive producers, Holly Landez, Stephanie Scrocky, and Sandy Hartman. Thank you for being our executive producers, and maybe you will be our next executive producer. All right, back to AI.
All right. Should I tell you what I was doing just like an hour ago?
Yeah, let's go.
So we are currently rebuilding our district website, and it's one of the projects I'm leading, and it's a huge project. I'm really rewriting the whole site. And so I've been doing that in partnership with ChatGPT. And so I did upgrade to...
So this is like a Dr. Adam Schoenbart co-author ChatGPT.
So the way I guess I'll say I've thought a lot about this actually, because I'm responsible. I do press releases. I do most of our district writing, right? But there is almost never something that I write for the community that like has my name on it that anyone's expecting is the sole author of anything. I think about when we have a letter or a message go out or a press release, whether it is something I start or not, there are 3 to 10 people editing, rewriting, all of that, Googling, searching facts and information and quotes. And so, right, to me, again, this is no different, right? I think we're in a different realm when we're talking about students submitting work representing their own work that has their name attached as the sole author, right? For something like this, it's been what you said before, virtual assistant. What I have found is the upgraded ChatGPT has been helpful to me with some of I created a GPT for the first time. I basically said, you are the content creator for the website for the Chapel Central School District. I described the audience. It asked me some follow-up questions, and I've been saying things like, write the introduction to our facilities website, and just give me a nice little paragraph on like what the facilities department does. And sometimes it needs a little bit of tweaking, but it's really good. And things like today, I'm working on a page about living in the community, like a live here, work here kind of piece. And so I said, it took me a couple iterations, but I said, give me 10 reasons why someone would want to live in Chapco, New York. And it was great. Would I use them all as is? Are they all my favorite? Am I sure they're all 100% truthful and accurate? I've got to do my homework here, just like anyone else with AI. But the idea, the content generation, the ideation, helping me get started on these pages has been tremendous. I have a team, virtual webmasters, who are helping me migrate content. And so the idea that I can take a few minutes, sketch out the content of a page, do a quick edit, pass it on, and then I come back and I rewrite and I edit, just like I think like I'm trying to frame this like any good writing process, whether we're doing it as adults with kids in the classroom. The AI is not giving me everything on my own. I'm not taking what I get and hitting submit. But in terms of getting started on some difficult areas and putting ideas together and even thinking about how to format, organize my thinking, it's been incredibly helpful. So I'll talk about a time saver. That's been a great one for me.
Yeah, I mean, the whole, when you talked about like the live here, work here, and how you have to like maybe fact check what it gave you, you saved time by not having to think of the initial reasons of why would somebody live here and work here. You could skip right to, all right, let me just fact check this stuff. And if it checks out, time saved, publish.
Absolutely.
I'll ask both of you as administrators, and AJ, how have you used AI in your role as a vice principal? What can you speak to?
No, I'm still learning, and I'm trying to model it as best I can for my staff because I want them to use it, and I try to model it also with my principal because, I'm finding ways that it's helpful just for like learning, just if you went through my chat GPT and kind of looked at like, give me ideas on how to work with a student who's having, discipline problems, a student who, is getting detention. What can I do as a restorative approach to solving, put in quotes. But like I ask questions like that just to get some ideas of it, how I can work with a student. I've been using it, for ideas and observations, not to write my observation, but to give me some ideas of what should be some look fors when I'm in a classroom. So I look for that. I look for ideas that will just kind of spark something in me that'll help me, just kind of write and kind of focus. I've asked about like PBIS themes for the months of the school year and kind of figure things out like that. So I'm trying to find ways that it can help me, again, just spark ideas of getting things situated in my mind as to how to help run my school. I'm not using it like in detail to write emails or anything like that, but like there might be something I use just for, an idea. I've used it, no joke, to come up with a couple of lines for our school website when I'm talking about my clubs. I'm asking it to rewrite small biographies on things because the teacher would give me a quick one-line write-up, and I'm like, reword this 3 or 4 paragraphs about X, Y, and Z. So I'm trying to use it to help me. So maybe it is more of an assistant than it is anything else, but it helps get the job done when I need it in places like that.
And actually, just so people know, as a content creator here with the podcast, because we're doing this as the live stream, I will have a transcript of this episode created by YouTube before this episode comes out as the podcast. One of the things I will do is I will take that YouTube transcript, I will throw it into ChatGPT and say, give me, the 5 most important points made in this YouTube transcript, right? Help me write a description for what this podcast episode was about, right? Help me write 5 tweets to promote this episode based on the takeaways. Help me write a post for LinkedIn to promote this episode and engage teachers in conversation and educate, blah, 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 blah. So we can just as easily be doing that with, say, any piece of content that we consume, right? Got a big training video. All right, give me, the takeaways. Got to read a big blog post on something. What are the takeaways? And then I can go in and I can read. I'm just big on this whole time-saving thing. And Amanda commented she's also using it, she says, all my emails are ChatGPT assisted, right? Come up with your own original thought, make this better. AJ got that from, teachers writing descriptions about their clubs and activities at the school. Adam is doing it to help refine the content of a district website, right? So all these things are out there. And again, it's just a matter of see what it can do, right? If it can't do it, it'll tell you, I can't do this, right? I just saw a tool, and I apologize I don't have it. I'll talk about it on probably the next House of Ed Tech. But it's an AI tool that lets you draw shapes and add text, and you visually design what you want an app or a website to do, and then you make it come to life. And I don't know, it's like the fairy coming down and make Pinocchio become a real boy. What you drew, now you can do it. So the example I saw was, be able to upload an image and be able to, with a slider, slide it and scale the image you uploaded and rotate the image with a different slider, just by saying, here's a rectangle, this is a slider, and scale, rotate, upload. And it did it, right? I will share that. I forget what it is. I'll share it in the notes for this episode, but, they're super powerful. I don't know. A lot of words, a lot of power.
AJ, your website thing made me think about, I do stuff like that all the time, but I've also started to do it for the school tweets and communication. So like give me a tweet to celebrate give me a tweet to celebrate Veterans Day for my school district, right? And then I wrote back and be like, give me more emojis, give me this. And so that's an easy thing I've been doing. Even on Thanksgiving, I sent my technology department, I told them they had to stay to a certain certain time, and I was wrong. Some of them were able to leave a little earlier. So I said I had ChatGPT write me a limerick wishing my department a happy Thanksgiving and letting them know that if you're in this role, you can actually leave earlier. And then that was my Thanksgiving message to them. Little things like that. I think it's fun, it's simple, it's low stakes. So I think about like entry points with like your administrator, with your principal and things, and those kind of pieces. It's a lot of fun.
More principals should put their emails in and say, rewrite this email in the style of Snoop Dogg.
The other thing, AJ, that I have a lot of success with, that is a good entry point, is looking for trends in data. And so I tend to do it more survey. We had students evaluate a program, give us feedback on it. I threw that all into ChatGPT, synthesize. I said, synthesize the top 3 student comments, right? Something you could give it a really simple prompt with that kind of work, and it seems to do a really good job. I've even working with teachers, I've taken taken multiple observation notes from the same teacher and asked it for trends in what I'm seeing, and use that as a way to double check myself of like, am I missing anything, or are there other observations? And I've done that with teachers, and I'm like, let me show you these and let's see what it says. And I found that to be really, really interesting.
I did the same thing. I don't collect a lot of data as a high school social studies teacher, but the recent thing that I did where I did have a lot of data, I took the feedback survey results from EdCamp New Jersey 2023. I downloaded that spreadsheet, had, some, 100 something responses to all those questions, downloaded it as a CSV file, uploaded it to Claude, was the one I used, and I said, give me the positive takeaways and negative feedback, summarize it all based on what's in there. And then I went through and I had done some custom color coding on that spreadsheet, and what it gave me in text statement form aligned with what I could kind of visually see with what was kind of highlighted with conditional formatting. But love it for analyzing data. Actually, recently in our common planning time, we've been using Achieve 3000 in my district at the high school level to, get kids to read more and kind of assess their Lexile levels. So I took some spreadsheet data from my own students' Lexile levels, and I said, based on the Lexile levels in this list, and I gave it all the data, I said, give me the mean, the median, and the mode, so I could just quickly see what that average and, what that all is. And then I said, give me lesson plan ideas for what I'm going to do in January is the Industrial Revolution. Give me some lesson plan ideas for the Industrial Revolution, and I want you to give me based on the Lexile levels for my struggling readers, for my on-grade level readers, and for readers who are above grade level, who are above 9th grade level. And it gave me 5 things for each breakdown that I can now differentiate my instruction. Potentially. I've got to look through and see what I want to do and what I want to teach specifically. But within 30 seconds, I've got differentiated ideas.
I mean, look, I think there's tremendous power there, and I don't think we're going to tackle it all, in a 45-minute, hour-long episode. But I feel like,
No, and it's all changed since we started.
and I was going to say, and like I was going to ask the question earlier, and like the individuals who are writing these books, like ChatGPT for beginners, like you're writing a book, it's still brand new. So like, I don't know how you're doing that. Like you're the beginner. I'm excited to see where this is going, and I feel like there is a tremendous benefit for this in education as long as we do it right. And I think there's flaws, and that's why I said at the beginning I'm torn. But there's
right
going
is very
to be,
subjective, though.
What do you mean?
To say,
What did I say?
You said we got to make sure we do it right. That's very there is no. I mean, they're certainly wrong. Blocking is wrong. Banning is wrong. But I don't know what right is.
Well, when I say right, I just mean, we're not using it for, everything that we do. I think, and what I mean by right is not allowing students to, have it write their papers. That's where I'm saying right. I'm not saying like how we introduce it. I'm just saying how it's brought about into the schools, like the actual usage that we're counting on this to be, our assistant or what we're looking to do with it. That's what I mean by right.
Carefully, thoughtfully, balanced.
That's the better word to use, but I'm not intellectual.
Got you.
Go out to ChatGPT and say, what's the best way to integrate you into teaching?
Wow.
I don't know. But you're right. And I will say it every time we talk about this, wherever I am, this is the worst it's going to be. Right? It is horrible right now. Anything that's generative right now, this is the worst it's going to be. And we're already amazed.
Mm-hmm.
What is this going to look like tomorrow? What's it going to look like 3 months from now? Next year when we're 2 years in, right? I'm playing with some custom GPTs that can do voiceover work for podcasts, and I can create jingles and audio drops. I can do the last episode of House of Ed Tech. I gave it my episode description, and I had it generate an image based on the text description to use as the custom piece of art for that episode. And I believe that's episode 236 for anybody who wants to check it out. But I might do that for PodcastPD in 2024. Here's the description of the episode. Give me an image. I could share it on Instagram, right? I mean, it's boundless. All right, so this is PodcastPD. And Stephanie, thank you. She said that image was awesome. Amanda said that we did a great job in this conversation. So thank you for that. You guys listen to podcasts? AJ, you listen to anything? Any podcasts that stick out to you? Episode? Anything you're enjoying? What do you got?
I listened to a bunch. I don't have my phone on me right now, but I've listened. Yes, we can do this if you'd like to.
Yeah. Do you want me to play the thing? Hold on.
Play the thing. I'll get my phone.
All right. I'm going to go first, AJ. So you just hold there. All right. I've started listening to a new podcast. It is called Build a Big Podcast. So yes, Chris found another podcast about podcasting that he's going to consume forever so he can become a better podcaster, which helps me do PodcastPD, House of Ed Tech, Education Podcast Network, what and how I talk about podcasting at school with the podcast club that I run. So if you are into podcasting, you might also want to check out Build a Big Podcast. AJ, what are you listening to?
Well, okay. So, of course, now I can't find the episode number, but it's from the Principal Matters podcast. And this is with Dr. William D. Parker. And it's an episode for focus on middle school. And it's, here it is, found it. Episode 370, Middle School Superpowers with Phyllis Fagel. She's an author. And, I just appreciate the ideas of when people talk about middle school, because being a middle school educator for my entire career, I really love everything that she talks about, from like the ideas of what middle schoolers go through and how we don't realize that there's so much to the middle school that, you know, we can't expect them to be more mature than what they are. You know, they're kids. They're still babies, and they're maturing very quickly. And, you know, I think this episode kind of hits on a couple of things. If you want to know her book, she's the author of Middle School Matters, the 10 Key Skills Kids Need to Thrive in Middle School and Beyond, and how parents can help. And then our other book is Middle School Superpowers, Raising Resilient Tweens in Turbulent Times. I really think her books are fantastic. You know,
I've actually read it. And
You read it?
she came, I read it, and she did, I believe she came to work with us a couple years ago in my district.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's outstanding. I mean, she's getting a lot of recognition lately, but I think it's very important. You know, I know she recently did the AMLE conference. That was in November. So, you know, this is somebody that I'm kind of keeping tabs on because I would love to incorporate her work into my school, especially with my teachers. So check out episode 370, Principal Matters, with William D. Parker and Phyllis Fagel.
Maybe a early 2024 guest of this very podcast. How about that? Adam, are you learning from podcasts?
So yeah, I listen to a ton of podcasts, not much in the education space these days, but one I came across recently and didn't realize has a little bit of a backlog for me to catch up on that I'm really excited about is a search engine. It's I'll give you the tagline here. The host answers the kinds of questions you might ask the internet when you can't sleep. But what if I don't know if either of you guys were fans of Reply All. But that was a podcast I listened to for a long time, and it's PJ Vault, one of the hosts, and so I'm excited. I've listened to a couple episodes of the Search Engine and really enjoyed it, and so always I enjoy like those kind of quirky, like in a deep dive down a weird question kind of shows, and also always learn something there.
Who is the host?
PJ Vault.
Okay, all right, yeah, cool. I will include. I got it right here. I will put it in our show notes. Which, if you're listening after the fact, is a swipe or a tap away, or head out to podcastpd.com/134. All right. Anything else on AI, gentlemen?
There'll always be more, but I think
There'll
that's
always be
tonight.
more. All right. Adam, I hope you are not a stranger, and maybe you'll come back and join us a couple more times in the future, because Lord knows you're going to do more amazing things.
Sounds good. This is fun, guys. Miss you guys.
Miss you too, man. Appreciate you coming in. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Thank you for watching. And if you're listening to this, we will be back. According to AJ, we will do something else in December. But send us your thoughts on this episode. Email us feedback@podcastpd.com or go to podcastpd.com/feedback. We could tackle your questions, and certainly we'll continue this conversation for sure. Don't forget to text Podcast PD. We want to have a textual relationship with you. Text @PodcastPD to 81010. If we don't come back, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy New Year. Wait.
It's not time yet. I can't do it. Gotta wait. Can't do it yet.
All right. Well,
happy
holidays, everybody.
Happy and merry everything.
Happy and merry everything. Wave goodbye, everybody.